If you're a diehard fan or happen to know nothing about the show, it's all good, because One Piece Odyssey is a solid turn-based RPG at its core. So if you want to know exactly how the multi-area battle system is going to play out, how the upgrade systems work, gear, stats, abilities, and all that other RPG gravy, well, you click the right type of review, because that's what I'm focusing on. Now let's get into it, and hey, if you're new here, hit subscribe. Also, I snuck a fan-requested feature into this intro footage. Let me know if you caught it. Alright, first off, let's talk about the battle system. The main hook of this game is that there's 4 different areas that your team or the enemy can occupy during these fights, and there's more to it than you might initially assume. Different skills will allow you to hit in different areas. Say for example, this is a close range attack. I can only hit one of these 2 people right in front of me. Even though there's an enemy right over there, I can't hit him with that attack. If I wanted to hit him with that, I'd have to look for the icon where there's an enemy in that other circle, which is called a long-range attack. Now, if an ability has multiple enemies, you guessed it, it hits all of them in that area. When a character is all by themselves in an area, though, that does kind of change that, because you can still use close-range attacks, but it will jump the character over into that area, moving them to a new location there. There's 4 different quadrants, and enemies and your allies can be in any of the 4, and it dictates what attacks and skills you can do, and also what attacks you're going to get hit by. There's different reasons why you may want to pile everybody into one area, or keep somebody in an area that has no enemies occupying it. The advantage of keeping someone by themselves in an area is that they're less likely to be targeted by enemy attacks. And if you want to keep them there, you can use long-range skills, and that will allow them to attack and they won't move after that. There's also some attacks that can hit the entire area. If you see here, both of these will hit everybody, and those are good at dealing with a crowd. If you press left or right on the D-pad, you can go in here and change up your starting formations. And there's a few different ones that have different positives and negatives. For example, you can have your ranged characters try to be in an area by themselves, or put your healer in a group with your allies, so hopefully they don't take quite as much damage. All of your skills do function off of the TP resource, and you get that back by doing regular attacks. There's other advantages of doing regular attacks, like you saw there, that had the punch effect where it ricocheted and hit other enemies in that area. Now let's talk about attack types. A character is either power, which is the fist icon, technique, which is the sword, or speed, which is the pistol icon. And in general, power is strong against speed, speed is strong against technique, and technique is strong against power. Pretty much if you see an up arrow on the enemy's icon, that means it's a good matchup. If it's a down arrow, it's a bad matchup. And then if you see nothing, it's a neutral matchup. And you can freely swap between any of your characters during your turn and kind of watch those arrows on the side and pick somebody that would be good at exploiting that weakness. You can also press the tactics button and swap out party members. So if you want to switch to somebody that is more effective against your target, you can freely do so without interrupting your turn. There's also 3 different element types. There's lightning, freeze, and burn. Now if an enemy is weak to a certain element, you'll see it says weak there next to the skill. It's actually this guy over here, but he's strong against our attack type. So this attack should be kind of neutral. Now, the more you fight alongside your party members or do things like heal or support them, will build up your bond arts gauge. And that allows you to move to different areas if an enemy is already occupying your square, or do these big ultimate style attacks. So sometimes you'll have these dynamic events that will happen, and in the top it'll say what you need to do to complete them. So liberate Luffy's area before Luffy is knocked out. We have 1 turn to do so. Hopefully this attack kills them all. Yeah. So that gives us a nice XP bonus here in the final screen. As you can see, that's a huge extra chunk. So that's pretty much the basics of the battle system. It's pretty good once it gets going, and there is luckily a speed up button for when you've seen some of these cool flashy animations, 100+ times. Oh, and if you're curious, there's no random battles in this. You can see all the enemies out in the open, and if you attack from behind, you do get a little bit of an advantage. Don't grab my butt! Don't grab my butt! Now let's talk about cube fragments. You can use those cubes you find to level up some of your skills. So if there's specific ones you really like, you can boost their potency in here with those cubes. So there is a pretty good incentive to explore and look around in all the little nuggets around the map. Now there's not a traditional gear system in this where you're equipping like new swords, new armor, but there is this accessory system which kind of takes care of all of that. These accessories come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes, and you're going to place them over here on this grid. You can rotate them if you need to, but you won't really need to until later on. So here I'm putting one on that applies freeze whenever I attack, or at least a chance to inflict freeze. And some of these other ones will just give me raw statistical advantages. The main stats you're going to be affecting with these is HP, TP, attack, defense, and guts. Now, what's the difference between defense and guts? Well, defense is protection against enemy standard attacks, and guts is protection against their skill-based attacks. So guts is kind of like magic defense. Also, while I'm in all this menu stuff, make sure you're going over to the objectives tab from time to time. You might have some freebie items and money to pick up here. Now, when you come across a campsite, there's quite a few things you can do here. First, if you interact with the tent, you can change your teammates' outfits if you have any. And over here, you can create trick balls, which are items you can use in combat. They do different effects like reduce their attack or defense, inflict status ailments, stuff like that. Over here, you can use some of the materials you find to cook items. And these are going to be some of the best healing items in the game, and also some of the best buffs you can get. Over here, you have accessory modification. If any of these accessories has an open slot, you can actually combine it with another accessory, and you'll add that effect on to the other item. I find it's best to add larger accessories onto smaller ones, because these smaller ones are just more useful because you can obviously place more of them. When you're done with the camp, you can change the time of day and also have a lovely little party. Why not? So that's pretty much the basic overview of how One Piece Odyssey is going to play out. But is it actually good, and do I recommend it? Well, if you already know you're a fan of turn-based RPGs and JRPGs like Dragon Quest, Ni no Kuni, old school Final Fantasy, maybe even Persona, you'll probably enjoy this too. It starts out definitely on the easy side. I didn't need to start healing until about 8 hours in, but it does start to push back in difficulty a bit later on. So the simple answer, if you're into all that, yes, I recommend it. Now let me know your thoughts on One Piece Odyssey if you happen to snag it, or if you got to try the demo. Thanks for checking this out today. I'm Alex, and I'll see you in the next one.